Hello, hello. How's your energy? Bit mad at the moment. It's the Equinox. It's all going to change today. It's also new moon in Aries, which is my time. Yes, today, tomorrow, and a bit of Wednesday, 52 hours, I think it is the time to be rising my chrism oil. I've had a little chat with Anaya Science Witch this morning. She sent me an essay like this, which I couldn't decipher. It's still quite complicated to me how this works, especially with the calendar months being wrong and all that kind of stuff. But it is the equinox today, and I got sent something this morning that I wanted to read to you, and I've got a couple of guests coming on to discuss all of this. And in fact, I might bring them on now before I read this. Hello, Abby Wynn.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all equinoxed.
Whatever that means.
I'm wired sound. It's all Peter Tingles.
I know.
Yeah. Before we get into that, I just got a couple of viewers here. Gillian Crow Santander. Hi there, Mark. I keep getting downloads that appear to be for you. Very odd. Is Outward Publishing a thing? Well, I am a publisher. So yeah, I suppose it is a thing. But I'm too busy to publish anything. I'm trying to publish my own poetry book at the moment with a bit of help from Abby. How is it? What do you think to it?
I think it's bloody brilliant.
Do you?
I think it's too good. It's too good. I don't think you should share it with anyone. It's that good.
I have not paid her a penny to say this. Nicole has just sent me the latest draft. I'm going to look. All your edits should be done now.
Yeah, you kind of just said, yeah, ask Abby about the edits. I was really nasty.
Yeah, good. That's why I picked you, because I knew you would be. I mean, I was an editor of magazines for years, and you have to be cutthroat. You know, you have to be, especially with typos. And I know you're a stickler for grammar.
I know. I just got my new book in, and I would say 90%. Can I just show it to you? I've got it here. Hang on. I'm being bold.
Is this a printout of it?
This is the last of the three.
How your books are all like this thick?
I showed the three of them together. It's like weightlifting.
They must cost like 50 quid a piece to print.
Look at that.
Wow.
It's like Game of Thrones. We've got awakening, transformation, and expansion. It's all here.
Where do we get these?
I'm really pleased. This has been my dream to write a novel. This is one novel in 3 books, and it's this big.
Where do we get it from?
Everywhere. It's all online. But give me a sec, because I got the third one, and you can see there's no guy on the spine here. So I want to put something here, because we've got the shamanic guide, we've got the cat, and nothing. So I need to put something on.
Why do you have to put? It could be that's where we're going. Nothing.
Well, it's a portal, is what I'm planning to do. But shh, don't tell anyone yet.
You're live on YouTube, for fuck's sake.
I know. Taking advantage. So there you go. Now you don't need to pay me for editing a poetry book.
I just did.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, look, Anya.
Hello.
Hi, Anya.
Hey, sweetie.
It's good to see you.
It's beautiful to see your face.
How's it going?
Well, it's good now. My laptop decided to work. It just had a little bit of a meltdown.
Well, they do that. Yeah, what energy is very interesting at the moment. I was telling Anya earlier about somebody saying recently that I was of the dark because somebody got ill after seeing me and stuff like that. And I was like, that's just fair for you to say, I suppose, but it's not been my experience.
I've not heard of a healing crisis.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I got told that somebody that came to the Manchester event was ill for 3 weeks afterwards. And it took me a night to sleep on it to go, well, hang on, there were 450 other people that didn't get ill. So,
Yeah, but when you're releasing something and it's moving through you, you can make you sick.
Yeah, I know. I've been there myself many times.
I mean, I went to the forest and I got ill from, I hugged some trees as usual, and I got deep activations, beautiful. But then I was ill for 4 days afterwards, after the energy of detoxing whatever needed to come out and then upgrading higher. That's sometimes the way we have to do it. It's like a declutter. You have to get rid of the old to allow the new room to grow. So if there's things within us that need to be released and repelled and expelled out of our system, then sometimes being around higher consciousness and higher frequency people can activate that within ourselves. you know, it's like a detox, if you will, and an upgrade. If even being around people, places, it's all about the energy and the frequency and how that affects your frequency. And I think it's just about using your discernment on whether you feel that energy is positive or negative for your highest good.
Yeah, and today's one of those big days. It's the equinox. I put up a message today saying, has anyone got any information about the spring equinox? And then somebody from Australia said, you Northerners. It's autumn equinox. And then I was like, oh, because is it the venal
Would you say
equinox?
vernal?
Vernal. It's the vernal equinox,
yeah.
which is a little bit less racist.
It's hard to get it right for everybody. Somebody's going to be unhappy somewhere. But
Oh no, but it's good because I learned that it's actually the vernal equinox, and here in Ireland it's at 9:26 p.m.
tonight, yeah.
Are you going anywhere for that?
Well, I'm recording an interview this evening. Then I'll be home. But I've been thinking about this because a friend of mine got up at the crack of dawn and went and climbed a sacred site and was drumming her drum in the fog, in the mist, and she had a ball. She loved it. She needed to do it. But I wasn't called to do that. It's also Aries for me, my season. It's my birthday soon as well. And you as well. I'm really getting the sense
you
that...
both Aries as well?
Yeah.
I'm a double Aries.
I'm an Aries. I'm a double Aries.
No way.
Well, I'm a treble Aries then. Fuck you.
Oh, okay.
That's probably why we all get along so well. Yeah, we can all butt heads in the center. But
I didn't know you were Aries.
You didn't know.
Maybe I just forgot. I do forget a lot of things.
No, what I'm feeling is there's so much happening. It's so fast. The energies are just ramping up that we need to just slow it all down. And that's the most important thing to do, is slow it down. So even just spending a few minutes in your heart on whatever day or time you feel is an important day or time. But I think every day is an important day or time. I'm doing that so much more frequently now, just coming into the heart and just being silent. So,
well, I'm trying to. No,
yeah, but you know what? Well, I was telling my client this morning, being silent, I think, is got to be an active process, actively silent, as opposed to passively silent. So if you imagine that your brain, the thoughts are just psh, 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 all the time, and if you're just going to be passive, you're going to be like bombarded and pounded by all these thoughts. Whereas if you actively say, I'm going to be silent now, and you stand there like Moses and you pull back the waters and you create that space in the middle. It's like noise cancellation headphones. Noise cancellation sends out a frequency to block the noise. So you send out a frequency to block your thoughts. And it's like doing a workout, because you have to, get stronger and stronger, but you get longer and longer at it. And just that few moments in the silence is really, it's quite profound, actually. And it gives your body a massive break.
Well, isn't that what's been going on the last few months anyway? That the magnetic shields that we used to have moved away. And that's why people have been a bit tetchy the last few weeks, few months. But now we're going through this rebirth. That's why Trump's arrest and all of this stuff's going on tomorrow, this week, because nothing's what it seems. There's going to be a massive shift. And I've been getting that with the rods for ages, that March is the month, and everybody that I respect that I've spoken to feels it. What do you guys think?
Well, I think firstly, just resonating with what Abby was saying there in regards to, there's a lot of dates and there's a lot of like specific things and pressure on having to do things a certain spiritual way. And I just live in the moment. I'm really bad at having specific plans and stuff like that. So for me, it's about when it comes up. And someone actually asked me how I'd be celebrating spring equinox. I was like, can you tell me when it is? Because I had to look at when it. So, and that's the thing for me. I work very subconsciously, very much in tune with today. I'm going to go for it. And yesterday I went out on a beautiful day in nature, connected in with the elements and the stones. And that for me was that connection, that I needed, and that replenishment. And I think it's just about remembering what Abby says, that do it in your timing. And then going on to what you're saying, Mark, for me, the energy has been like Groundhog Day. It's been just like reverberating all this dull energy, it felt like, in the universe, and really a hall of mirrors that we was going through. But then obviously everyone else is going through that, as you're saying. So it's like this heightened sensitivity, and it does almost, I get the sensation that I don't look too much into the human. Ooh, are you still there? For some reason, My screen got taken off there. That was real strange. Yeah. So for some reason, I don't, look into the human sense of what's going on in the politics or the earth. I do hear certain things, but I'm really not drawn to look into that. For me, it's all about the energy, what's going on for my energy and what do I need to do energy work wise. So there will be people that are drawn to look into the politics and look into what's, and, support that and spread that truth. However, if you are like me and you kind of just work in your own little world, and you're just flowing with the energies, just be aware that that's okay too. And I think it's just about us kind of supporting each other in this boiling point moment. It feels like there's like a hob boiling over, and we just kind of need a bit of support and respite for each other to balance this whole process so that it doesn't become overwhelming. And because I have found it quite overwhelming the past couple of weeks in terms of the energy is quite a lot. And I think if you are dealing with that on your own, it makes it harder. So if we are supporting each other and being honest with the fact that no matter where you are on your spiritual journey, we're all dealing with something. We're all going through something. We're all facing something, because as I always say, if you wasn't, you wouldn't be here living the human experience. You'd be an angel, or you'd be passed over into source. Like, the whole point in being human is to learn and to expand. So I think it's just about reflecting that we're all on a journey and we're all learning from each other in different aspects. And we just need to support each other at this moment in time more than any other time, I think.
Cool.
It's funny, Anya. I'm
We're
going to
joined by
interrupt.
Gillian's joined us as well. Hello, Gillian.
Hi, Gillian.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see.
I was just going to say, I made a video on Saturday to say that my stomach hasn't been great. I've been feeling very tired. My limbs are like they're moving through treacle. And everyone was like, oh my God, are you okay? I hope you're feeling better. I'm like, no, that's not why I'm saying it. I'm saying it because we're all human. We're all here. We're all experiencing things in a different way. And my friend Tim Wild, he made a video there, I think it was a couple of years ago, and he said about the light worker relay race, which is what Anya was saying, which is something I think is just a brilliant analogy. One of us feels great and is carrying the baton, and the other three of us are having a rest, and then, they get tired, and who's next and who's next. And so rather than being on a specific date and time, Anya was feeling energized at the weekend and I wasn't, and I'm feeling a bit more energized today, and maybe it's her turn to have a rest and to just go with how you feel. It's so much more important.
It's interesting you say that, because I've been feeling really good, but today, just at this morning, I've been having heart palpitations, and I know that it's just essential.
I had those yesterday.
Oh,
yeah.
Did you? Yeah. And I
know what we forget to do, Gillian, and what's really useful for anyone who's experiencing these crushing symptoms is to remember that you're not this small person in a small body. And I was saying this to my friend now, excuse the religious connotation, but if you're a little parochial church that can house 20 people, you need to upgrade to a bigger one that can house 100 people, but we're actually not that. We're more like the big cathedral, but we want to be small so we fit in and we forget how big we are. So we just expand and expand. So anyone who's watching this now, just get a hold of yourself, recognize your energy and just go, okay, I'm not mapping to my true organization, because we're going through all of these upgrades at the moment and they're making us, brighter, and we've got more light pouring in, but we still think of ourselves as these little bitty people, and we just kind of be small and apologetic, and that's just not going to work anymore. I don't think we're going to be able to carry ourselves as small. We have to be our true size, and fuck you if you don't like me, that kind of thing, and it's hard to do that when it's been beaten out of us for so many years, but now's the time.
No, I totally agree with that. I think where I'm from, it's quite less financially broader. I'm trying not to say poor. It's a poor area. I was trying not to say it in a nice way. Yeah, it's not the best area. It's a beautiful place, but it's very limited in terms of, there's a certain type of persona, there's a certain type of person you can be. And it wasn't until I expanded out of that I actually realized how small I kept myself in them environments. And then having to come back into that space with an expanded mindset and an expanded sense of being was like being put back in a cage after you've been let out. And it was really uncomfortable for me. And it showed me that this is not where I'm meant to be now moving forward. And I'm very grateful for where I have been, for the lessons I've learned. But I think moments like that, it's important. What do you do with that feeling? Because I could have, internalized that and reflected that on other things, when in reality, it's a reflection of my environment and my current state of being outside of me, and to choose to change that current reality rather than to just stay in it, And I think it's whether we choose to take action on that as well and choose to listen to them feelings.
Well, There is a thing that I received this morning, which I was reading in the cafe. And if you guys will permit me, I want to read it out, and then we can discuss it as a talking point.
I might have to go in 10 minutes. I'm waiting for a client. I've just come to say hello, but
I can read it later.
No, read it now.
Read it.
If I disappear, that's where I've gone.
If you do a pee?
If I disappear.
Oh, disappear. Right. So I'll read it quickly then. This is by, so it's about the World Sovereignty Portal, March 21st to the 23rd, by Arkea Aurora. We are approaching the worldwide sovereignty portal that will begin on the 21st to the 23rd. This portal, if harnessed by humanity, will anchor in the frequency of sovereignty and thus sever the chains of enslavement, codependency, manipulation, fear, and separation. We are calling on all of humanity to participate and declare their sovereignty during this portal. This is a potent window which we may harness for liberation, freedom, truth, abundance, and love. First, let us look at the divine energies liberation that the cosmos are bringing to us during this portal. Today is the spring equinox, which, and although it says March 21st there, and it's actually March the 20th. Is it a different date in different countries?
It's slightly different every year, I think, isn't it? Sometimes it's the 20th, sometimes it's the 21st. I think it just depends how everything lines up. But
it's definitely the 20th in Ireland, which means it is in England, which means it could be in the US. But unless this is from Australia. Anyway, it's approximately right. Which new beginnings, rebirth, and the unfoldment of a new path and journey. We can imagine that between the autumn equinox, September 21st, and the spring equinox, March 21st, we've essentially been inside a cosmic egg, an incubation period. Around that time, I had received a message that Mother Earth was entering her cosmic egg, which was assisting in the gestation and rebirth of both Mother Earth and humanity. I am seeing humanity inside of a golden egg, which is prepared to hatch on the spring equinox, as we are rebirthed into a completely new timeline, a new reality for those who can see it. This also marks the beginning of Aries season, the first zodiac sign. For astrologers, we treat this sacred equinox as the true new year, which matches up with this 13-month cycle and April Fool's Day stuff Lewis Hearn's been talking about recently, and the beginning of a new cycle, since Aries represents the beginning of the cosmic wheel. It is no wonder we've had Chiron, the wounded healer, transiting through Aries since 2018, healing our wounds around this new beginning, claiming our sovereignty and taking our power back. Jupiter, the great expander, has been transiting Aries on and off since June of 22, expanding our embodiment of the divine warrior Aries archetype, courage, bravery, passion. This has also been preparing us for the shift of the North Node of Destiny to move into Aries on 7/17, which is actually 17th of July, for a 2-year cycle. I've been seeing 7/17 for the last 3 years, and it's my eldest son's birthday, for a 2-year cycle. Collectively, we'll all be called to embody the divine warrior and establish our sovereign galactic society here on Earth. Secondly, on this potent equinox, we also have a new moon in Aries at 0 degrees. This makes the energies of rebirth, new beginnings, and sovereignty 100 times as potent. New moons always represent a new cycle. Something fresh is now coming to life and ready to be created into form, or a new experience is ready to be embraced. In every zodiac sign or archetype, there are 30 degrees of expression. Therefore, 0 degrees Aries is the beginning of the entire cosmic wheel, the seed of creation itself. I cannot express how important this date is. Humanity is being called to place their intentions of sovereignty, freedom, and to declare the end of enslavement, which is represented by the previous age of Pisces. Coupled with Saturn's recent energy into Pisces, he is quite literally there to end the cycle of illusion and deception. This sovereignty portal will then carry on until April the 20th, as we end Aries season with a bang, with a second new moon solar eclipse at 29 degrees Aries, the mastery number. I'll stop there for now. Any feedback on that, ladies?
Well, I know that we don't give dates out because you just get hammered for it. But, my sense is that the 21st things are going to start happening. I did a video when I was tuning into the dragons on Mount Teide in Tenerife, and they told me when we move into Aries, which is a fire sign, obviously they were fire beings, and they're going to really assist. And I felt that we've got so many magical creatures ready to come in, but they're just waiting for the divine timing. So, you know, that correlates to everything that I sense. Everything you've just said does.
Well, I'll just point out to viewers that have never heard me say this, but in the last 2 years, I saw a dragon made of light. I've seen elementals. I've seen a big ship. I've seen the 5D sun with Gillian. You know, it's this. It's real. This stuff's real.
And don't you think sometimes you end up seeing it, like, so often? For me, it becomes that when people say their way of life that is very much different to mine, you know, in a confined, restricted, time restricted, lower vibrational place, it actually shocks me sometimes, because I live in such a place of, that's my reality, that's my everyday, to experience that, and I am so grateful for that. But you know, to be working with these elemental beings, and everywhere you go to get the messages and the feelings and the connections from the sun and the sky, like, that's literally, it becomes a part of your every single day life, and every little part towards your life, you know, the numbers that you see, and the people that you meet, and the names and the frequencies and the energies, and even down to the people's tattoos that when you're having conversations that you see of the Indians and the angels, you know, it's like, it's synchronicity with us lives. And I think it becomes a version of life that's what that's talking about for me. That's where the new earth is born, because there becomes a like a line point where there's a certain amount of people that are activated in that reality, and there is no longer that lower vibrational reality available even in the consciousness sphere. And I think that's what it's going through on an energetic level. Definitely, I think it's moving out of frequencies just into that, where that is every day, that is your everyday life. That's what it should be.
I think there's the multidimensional part of it. You know, you say that sometimes because you're in 5D all the time, sometimes you get shocked when you kind of step back into 3D. I think my experience is I live in both, you know, because I work where I'm sat now. I've got my general psychotherapy clinic, and I'm dealing very much with 3D people at the moment. So I'm like in two parallel universes. So, you know, this idea of multidimensional life, I feel almost like I'm already living it. You know, I'm got my head in one side of life, but also in another. So I think that's what we're going to experience as well fairly soon, isn't it? We're all going to, everybody's going to be multidimensional, but not just dimensions 3 and 5, but all the galactics and everything. Bring it on.
Woohoo!
Hey, I've got to go. So it's been really nice, short but brief. But thank you ever so much. You know, and I'll watch this later when I finish work. So bye everyone.
Thanks,
Bye,
Gillian.
Gillian. It was lovely to meet you.
Love, bye.
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 Yeah, it's really interesting what she said there about, and you know, I don't, like you said, because I don't live in that 3D world as much. It is, I suppose, it is hard for me sometimes when I have to navigate into the 3D world. I do struggle with it, and I suppose I don't know how I'd deal with living in that both worlds. I think I would struggle with that a lot more than I do now, because, you know, I think I take my hat off to people that are doing both. Put it that way.
Well, you have to think about it like packaging, right? You know, if you had the best plate of fish and chips in the world and you put it in newspaper, or you put it on a china plate, it's still the same best fish and chips in the world. That's you, right? So you can package yourself differently and still know who you are, have that essence of you in whatever dimension you choose to do business with. So you go in there, it's you know, you cover yourself over with your cloak of invisibility if you don't want them to see you, but don't do it when you're driving the car, because you want them to see you on the road. As long as you know who you are, you know, and if you have to go into something, you know, you go into stealth bomber mode, you go in, you do what you have to do, and you come out if it hurts. But I think the whole point of this is for us to be here with everybody, you know, to not drop people because they're difficult. They're difficult for a reason. And maybe what you're doing by being around difficult people is helping them heal. And for you to handle that on an individual basis, like, okay, it's difficult around this person, but I'm going to be here. It's like I have a group with Honey Golden. We have the Lightworker peer support group, and we have people come every month to talk about work that they've done with their clients. And one of our psychotherapists is like, it's just so boring and they're not making any progress. And I'm sitting there going, why are you not? And I said, yeah, but that's what it is. We be patient with that and tolerant with the people. And, you know, maybe there will be a breakthrough. Maybe it's for you to discover the patience in your heart and compassion, or the realization that there are people who won't change, or maybe they will change. We don't get to know all the answers all the time. And instead of classifying everything, that's 3D, that's 4D, that's 5D, that's difficult, that's hard, that's easy, to just say, I'm going to be the best version of myself and show up as me everywhere. And on the days where I'm feeling tired, I'll hand the baton over to someone else and give myself that day to rest. You know, we don't have to do it all every day. So.
No, we don't. I'll read a bit more of this out because it's good. So here, there's an excerpt from the book 360 Degrees of Your Star Destiny by Elias Lonsdale on the energy of 0 degrees Aries. It's very sexist, this bit. It should say he or she. He or she sticks to the task. I'll tell you what, we'll change it to them. We'll be like...
no, let's leave it as he.
Get the pronouns right. They stay in their here and now. I'll go back to he. He doesn't want to know anything about the past or anything about all the complex connections you can make between one thing and another. He's intent on freeing himself in the mind in order to become an effective agent of change. He has this notion and he's right on it. His notion is that somebody around here should do what's needed, should get down to it and shut up. This sounds so like me. He has heard enough to last forever. I think that's supposed to say. All he can believe is now is what all he can believe in now. There's a lot of typos in this, Abby. You should have had a look at this before they published it.
You know what it reminds me of is what Melissa said at the CHD Ireland opening night, where evil people do bad things or evil things, and good people need to now go and do good things.
Yeah, just to explain to everybody watching what that was the
Children's Health Defence Ireland branch. Yeah, but the idea now that good people can't just sit around, we have to get up and do good things. It's good.
Well, excuse me, I've been saying that for a few years, and I keep forwarding stuff on to people that I know are good, but I've sat back and been too scared to speak out. And I say, please share this on your Facebook, please share this with your friends, and they still won't do it. But I get a feeling that's about to change, and I do think this week is important energetically. There is definitely, going back to the Trump arrest stuff, there's shenanigans afoot, whether you engage with it or not.
Yeah.
What's going on in 3D is a representation of what's going on multidimensionally.
Yes,
100%.
Right?
100%. Like just different layers to it.
Yeah, and it's very confusing, and nobody really knows the truth about what's exactly happening, what's in front of you in 3D. And anybody that says they do is a charlatan of some kind, because it's just not possible. And that's part of the fun. That's why I think I wanted to do this live today about the equinox, because I want people to watch this and go, do you know what? Yeah, I'm just going to enjoy this week. I'm going to enjoy this energy. I'm going to choose to accept the energy. I'm going to choose to forget about the past. It's gone. Gone. Let it go. I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday, and I was like, and she said she was in loads of anger. And I was like, because of a relationship issue. And I said, just let it go, because it doesn't matter. You have to let it go. You have to cut the cords with all the past. And look, I've been struggling with that for 5 years. It's my separation. It's hell. But we have the power to do it. And cutting the cord, quarterizing it, and laughing and getting out there. You know, today I'm going to go out in nature at 9:26 p.m. I'm going to be in a sacred spot.
Beautiful.
And I'm just because I want to be in that energy. And I'm not drinking any alcohol this week, and I'm not doing anything else that you're not supposed to do at this time, which I'm not going to do and talk about in detail, but you can go and read up on it. Because it's about just clearing the pathways, and I'm eating really clean. I'm drinking lots of electrolytes. I'm doing all my bits and bobs with the light therapies and everything else, because I'm trying to give myself the best chance to actually. And do you know what I really want to do? Is I really want to feel this chrism oil rising. That's what I've got in my head.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've, Abby, I don't know if you've seen the shows I've done with Anaya Science Witch.
I've seen some of them, but as you're speaking there, what I'm really feeling is what you've always been saying about frequency matching. And we've been getting that up to now. We've been frequency matching. But then we all have different pieces of the jigsaw puzzle. You know, you, me, and Anya, we overlap in some areas, but we're different in other areas. And when you're feeling really called to do the Chisholm oil, I'm feeling really called to learn about the Anunnaki right now.
Yeah.
You know, and Anya's feeling really called to grow and be in, she called it her bubble, and to develop and to integrate and to upgrade.
I'm doing
and
a lot.
Everybody has their part. And
Mm.
what it's like is all these points of light, as you call us, all points of light, different places of the world, doing our part in a grander plan that our human brains don't have access to. But we have to have this huge faith that I'm doing my bit because this is what I'm really feeling urged to do, and you're doing your bit because that's what you're feeling an urge to do. And I'm not going to do what you want to do just because you say it's good and I think, oh, well, I should do it because Mark says to do it, which is really important. To say, okay, well, I'm going to do this because that's what my heart wants and my stomach, my power wants. And I'm not going to go there because it doesn't feel right. And I am going to go there because it does feel right. And the more autonomy we have, that's our sovereignty, really. That's us making decisions, being responsible for ourselves. And the fact that this portal is now open for several days isn't just one point, but it's waves and waves and waves of energy. And some of us are more sensitive than others. And we've been feeling this last week. It's like I get these moon messages every month. And every month he's basically telling me what I did 3 days ago. Mm-hmm. You know, I've already done that. I've already felt that because we're that sensitive. We're on to the next thing and on to the next thing. Whereas other people are feeling at the crest of it as it comes through. And then having discussions like this, the three of us are helping people who are getting that crest and go, oh, that's what they were talking about. Oh, I need to do. And this is what we're here to do as well. Yep. So it's waves and waves, and well, it's actually really beautiful. But it's a huge act of faith.
Mm-hmm.
Go on, Anya.
Well, it's just exactly what Abby was saying. Them waves, like, you know, I think we all, like I said to you, Mark, it feels like the new year now for me. It feels like now because it obviously is. But in terms of now, I feel drawn to expand outwards. So, like Abby said, I've been in my little bubble in the back end of February. I had my workshop going on. But then after that, I really went within my own self to clear.
I have to say, where the hell are you, Anya? Are you all right?
Yeah, I've gone to my own world because I really needed to clear my mind of what is my thoughts, what are my thoughts, my vision, my channel, because sometimes we're so bombarded with this is happening and this is going on and this is coming in and this channel. And for me, it was just like, well, everything needs to back off and I just need to figure out what's mine and what's my clear voice. And then I went through that kind of Groundhog Day of like, well, this is a lot of emotions and repeating it. And then I started to feel more active, and now I'm booming with ideas. I'm doing all these workshops. I've got the higher heart activation workshop puppet. It's like I'm ready, you know, to spread this now. It's like I go into reflection mode, really go deep, and then want to get it out and really want to express it outwards. So I'm definitely in that wanting to like express it outwards. But then there's a friend that came yesterday and she's like, oh, I feel like Groundhog Day. And I'd not even said up to her. I was like, it'll pass, give it a couple of weeks, it'll pass, and you'll get that revamp of energy again. And it feels like spring, it feels like the new year. The birds are out, the everything's like booming again, you know, it feels like life's coming again. So wherever you're at in that little navigation journey, whether you're going within, whether you're reflecting, or whether you're wanting to express that out now, just kind of just let yourself flow and go each day at a time. And just like Mark says, cord cutting, there's a lot of remembrance coming up at the moment. So a lot of remembering old people, old places, visiting old places.
I've been seeing past lives, like a radio tuning in.
Before I came on, I picked some cards, and it is, I am not affected by my past life trauma or emotions. This is a new life. Today, I'm relinquishing any trauma from the past. So this is a key theme.
That's amazing. That came up for me this morning with a client session, and I said you can go and you can get embroiled in the details of all those stories, but you're here now as you, and you need to live as you right now in this lifetime.
Yeah.
So I mean, we love stories, we really do, but it's okay but not to get caught in them. It's like you're saying, not to get caught in the anger, not to hold on to it. I mean, I made a short video there a while ago about what is it we actually need to let go of. Mm-hmm. It's the emotion. You know, that's how we react to things. Whereas we're keeping our memories. We don't need to forget what happened to us, but we don't need to hold on to the actual anger. And I think anger coming through us, used in a positive way, can create the world that we want to live in now. That's what we need to start doing, seeing this open, vast field and saying, what are we going to put in there? Who's going to do what? And how are we going to? And it's difficult in the beginning. I mean, don't you just want someone to come and tell you what to do? And it's like, that's what's been happening for years. No, we don't want someone to tell us what to do. We need to get together and talk about what we want to do, but we need to give ourselves the time.
I should just tell the viewers that, I just spoke to these two earlier, and I had this call to do it, and I just sent them a thing saying that we'll be on an hour. In an hour, we didn't even discuss exactly what we were going to say. We didn't have a message, but what's coming out of this is that lots of things actually just treat this energy shift as a rebirth for yourself. Cut ties of the past. Don't be affected by any of that. If you feel, and you two could disagree with me, but if you feel like darkness is attacking people or attacking people around you, maybe that's just a reflection of you, or an extension of you, and it's kind of a victim mentality by this point. And I think we've survived through enough of this spiritual war now to take control of ourselves and to enjoy this journey as much as possible.
You know what I heard a couple of weeks ago? I heard God knows that you are of him.
Yeah.
So you can see the darkness, but they can't get you if you are of God. Now, that's not for everyone, because not everyone has done that work. And a lot of people still haven't made a clear-cut decision or choice as to what side they're actually on. And that's up for them to do. They have to make that choice. They really do. And they might not even know what that looks like. So you could say, okay, what does that look like? What do I have to do? But, when we're of God, it's like we've reached a certain tipping point, and then we can move on. And I think the reason why the trajectory of Earth is continuing, because there's certain cohort or number, we've reached the number that was needed for people to be of God.
And the way I translate that is so beautiful, because I got used to get triggered by the religious words years ago. I don't now, but the way I would translate that, which I find so beautiful, is it's like when I found my power, my voice, my magic in terms of self. Like, I had such self-doubt, self-crippling, let's go as far as to say self-hatred, through along the way. And it was when I removed the blockages of self and learned to love and heal the parts within self and connecting with my true self of being, and my true magic, my true power, source energy, God, that vibrational of love, Christ consciousness. That's when, for me, it became not about light versus dark and me versus them. It became the whole thing became about freedom for all different vibrational frequencies that have all been trapped on different levels. And there became so many different layers to it that I'd not been seeing when I was looking at it as me versus the dark, because that's really not what it is. We all have light and dark within us. It's whether we choose to feed the darkness. And yes, there is different levels to it. And I will say there is some levels of darkness that I don't think is here now, that was not of this earth, I will say. However, in majority, I think you're right, Mark. I think sometimes it's a reflection of the inner versions of self that we have such shame, guilt, and suppression of, that when that's faced upon us in the real world, we despise it and we're repulsed by it. But in reality, it's the parts of self that we need to learn to digest and accept so that we can expand beyond that.
I have that in my novels, the ones I showed at the beginning.
Show us again, because
of light and dark.
Show us again.
Show us again. Oh, Jesus!
I'm trying to see if you can lift them.
You see, Anya, look at the size of them.
Gorgeous, aren't they?
But this is awakening here, where she has her spiritual crisis, and then transformation, where she decides she can't have anything to do with spirituality because it's too scary.
I've got loads of trolls in the chat here, which is
isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I don't normally get trolls.
But you see, look at what we're talking about. Making
triggering them.
Huh?
Triggering them.
It's interesting, isn't it?
But that's it. You see, I don't believe that there are no dark angels here, for want of a better word. I believe there are, and they have a job to do. They do have a job to do. But when you have claimed sovereignty, which is what that piece you were reading about, Mark, is all about, then you can say, I claim sovereignty as myself. I say no. Because when I met you, Mark, when I started watching your videos, you were all, that's what drew me in, are all the ones you're talking about, the movies where they get your consent just because you're watching. It's an uninformed consent. And I think we're all really used to knowing what that means now, uninformed consent. to have a fully informed no consent is what we need to do. Fully informed to say, I'm saying no. And, you know, to give yourself the space to say, well, where have I said yes? It's like, I bought this carpet out of fear because it was on sale and I was afraid I wouldn't get one at a price I could afford, but I actually hate the carpet. You know, it goes those in layers as to how much you're living in fear, how much fear is around you, and how fearful you are is all part of it. To say, no, I'm saying no to fear. I'm saying no to darkness. I'm choosing. And I was with my client when we were talking about expanding, and I said, okay, so I had a pan of chocolate today, even though I said I wasn't going to eat this stuff anymore, but I'm fully aware that I'm doing it. And I'm sitting on the altar of my cathedral with all of the aspects of me watching me. And I'm going, okay, it was a nice idea. I'm not actually enjoying this as much as I thought I would. But when you're doing it in the basement in the dark with nobody looking and you're eating it really fast, you're not even tasting it.
Have you?
But how do you want to live?
I've never ate a pan of chocolate in the basement in the dark. What kind of life?
It's a metaphor.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you've had a few.
Nope, never once. Although I did eat some chocolate earlier, very naughtily. Yeah. So I did.
Oh, you eat the chocolate openly.
I've been craving it lately though, and I don't really ever crave it. And I've been craving sweet foods and chocolate foods that I don't usually crave. So I don't know if we're needing a little bit of sugar or something. I've been eating fruit and stuff as well, but I did eat a little bit of chocolate. And I don't feel guilty for it anymore.
And here's someone in the comments says, I give my inner child a tub of ice cream with Maltesers. And, you know, I don't know how you guys feel about Harry Potter, but after a Dementor attack, they needed to eat chocolate. And sometimes you just need it.
Yeah. After a wild swim, I have chocolate usually to boost my energy back up after a wild swim. You need sometimes that little bit of energy, a hot chocolate or something, you know. We are human. That's what we have to remember.
We are. And this affects our physiology, you know, since I've started putting more magnesium in my, you know, you could get magnesium cream. I'm sleeping better and using the electrolytes, like you said. Being responsible and looking after yourself. It sounds so tedious and boring, doesn't it? But it actually isn't.
It's been so important over the last 3 years that we have taken better care of ourselves because we don't want to go near those big buildings with a H on, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, not the helicopter pads, hospitals, right? You know, they are death camps, and that's been proven over the last 3 years. So you've got to stay away from them. You've got to stay away from the guys in the white coats and the women because they're not good, most of them. So you had to do that, but at the same time, if you've had to drink and smoke and whatever to get through the last 3 years, just so you get up tomorrow, well done, because
you're still here.
Whatever it takes, because this has been, you know, this is a war.
Just finding a way back to ourselves. Like I don't know any human that doesn't have a coping mechanism. Some coping mechanisms are healthier than others, you know, but I don't know anyone that doesn't have a form of a coping mechanism and a way to survive through this navigation journey. And I think it's about evaluating, always checking your intention. You know, that's one thing that I do. You know, is this in my highest good? Does this vibrationally benefit me on a level? And sometimes we can acknowledge that it doesn't, like when we're on about the chocolate and things like that. But even in the sense, if it's not all the time, and it's not every day, and it's not out of shame and guilt, and it's something that we just really want, is that really not in the highest good, or is it in the highest good to just give yourself a little bit of joy that comes in the form of a human experience?
Well, there has to be some benefit to being here, you know.
Exactly. I think we punish ourselves though for being
too
especially
much.
When you're consciously aware and you're of a higher consciousness. There's this almost like I feel a judgment. You know, when I used to smoke, when I was around people in like a spiritual environment, sometimes you're around people and they're like, well, you know, there's judgment there even just for smoking and things like that. And I think it is fine, each to their own, but it does go to show that there is like an expectation that when you're spiritual that, you know, you can't still have coping mechanisms of life, but we're also human, because if you're not openly admitting the things that you do to cope and working on them things and acknowledging why you need to cope in the first place, then that's when it becomes the unhealthy coping mechanisms, and then it's in the secret, right?
But one of the other biggest problems I think has happened in the spiritual community, or whatever you want to call it, for years and years, especially in the last 3, is a lot of people who are extremely knowledgeable about spiritual processes and stuff like that have come out of a load of dogmatic stuff that's then just that's just as bad as Catholicism or Satanism or anything else. It's just dogmatic. You know,
well, they've been
you're not going to ascend. You're not going to ascend if you you don't eat vegetables. You're not going to ascend if you.
Do you know what I learned
have
this
sex.
weekend,
You're not going
Mark?
to ascend if you drink alcohol. You're not going to ascend if you smoke
But
cigarettes.
that's all ego.
But
Yeah,
you
I
see, I just learned this weekend now, okay, my awakening process, okay, it's maybe slow in some spaces and quick in others. I learned that A Course in Miracles was written by a psychologist who worked for the CIA and was one of the MK Ultra guys.
I read this last week. Did you send that to me? I can't remember.
I
But
might have
like,
done. I might have done
because no, this ties up because.
So this is the new age, and Madame Blavatsky and all of this stuff
Yes.
has been infiltrated, and so finding our own way is really important. But there is good stuff there. I mean, I was sitting with Sanat Kumara, who was one of my guides going in, and I'm going, oh my God, Sanat is it's an anagram, and I never saw it before, and is he made, and who the heck was that I was speaking to all those years ago? And oh no, you know, but I have to just reassure myself, no, because I'm here and it's all the way it's supposed to be. And it's difficult sometimes to pick these things apart, and you could take it really
because
seriously.
it's all mixed up. It's all mixed up. I mean, I did an interview with Dr. Christiane Northrup. It's on Rumble, guys. If you've not seen it, it's
brilliant, really good.
And I mentioned seeing her daughter at Hay House event. You were published by Hay House. Christiane was published by Hay House. I think Kate Northrup was published by Hay House. And I was at this event and I pitched my idea to Reed Tracy, whatever her name was. And it was like tumbleweed. He didn't like me. And
that's all right. He didn't like me either.
Well, Christiane said in the interview that they won't go near her now. And I said, True Colors now been shown by that company.
But didn't I tell you what they said to me when they signed me? Welcome to the Hay House family. And then I immediately got sick because I thought of all those things in that document you just said: codependency, narcissism. That's what families, you know, all that kind of thing. I thought, no, I don't want to be in a family.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. So she said that to me, and then I was like, well, that ties in because I felt like there were some really good people on stage talking at that event, but there were some people I just didn't. It wasn't good. And one of them was the guy that wrote the abbreviated version of A Course in Miracles, and I had A Course in Miracles, the full version, by my bed for maybe 4 or 5 years, and I dipped into it a few times, but I couldn't read it. I couldn't connect with it at all. But I saw this guy on stage, and he I can't remember his name, and he was very convincing. And there were loads of people there, really famous authors.
But you know what they do is they give you a drip feed of something and they hook you in, and then they keep you there, and there's never anything there. And I would always lose my temper or my patience with them. As an Aries, you know, you want to get something done, you go and bloody do it, and you don't drag it on for 6 years and not give the healing.
Well, one of the trolls just said, amazing how you can use so many words and say nothing to us lot.
Well, that's there you go. There you go. You know, that's exactly what it is.
It's the projection.
And they just give you just enough to keep you coming in and coming back for more. It's like little tasters and no actual meal. And then, God forbid, you should, you know, graduate and be up there with them, you know, teaching too. There's a lot of competition, fear around that. So I wrote a document to go into my Hay House book, which is basically things to ask your therapist to know if they're a good therapist. And I insisted that they publish it. And they did, which was great. I mean, someone here is saying Louise Hay founded Hay House. Louise, you know, in the goodness of her heart, was really, really good. But there was an energy shift. As soon as she died, something shifted in there. And it became more about the money. I mean, it's a tough one. But all of those mainstream publishers, you know, are successful for a reason. And it goes back to that sovereignty.
Well, don't forget, Louise had no idea how to run the business. It's just that Reed Tracy was in the accountant's office opposite where she was, and she got the thing on Oprah, and he said, I can look after this for you. And she was, oh, great. And then she went on Oprah, they sold millions of books. And he ran
consent happening.
He ran the business, you know. He ran the business. Bango's my Hay House deal, by the way, now.
Yeah, but I you know, you're a publisher. You don't need a deal.
I don't need a deal. I just saw somebody put in the comments, can't remember who, can't find it now. All you need is love, never a true word spoken. I was actually thinking about that song, the Beatles song. All you need is love. And then I remembered the Beatles was created by these guys, right? And we need to remember, the Tavistock Institute created the Beatles, created all the music in the last 60, 70 years has been created by social engineers like these, with a few exceptions. And I've often wondered that about the Beatles, because I love the Beatles. I love the songs. All You Need Is Love. Yeah, absolutely. But when you understand who was behind them, then you understand maybe why 3 of them were murdered, maybe at least 3 or 4 of them. You know, have you heard of any of that before, Abby?
Yeah, I'm looking through my book, but I'm wondering, is this going to be a spoiler? Because my main character has a conversation with a demon, and it's all in the conversation.
About the Beatles?
About music being a wonderful way to get subliminal messaging into a greater population.
Well,
I don't need to read it.
The reason I'm bringing it up is because it gets even more complicated when you talk about the way that the evil's woven in with the good. If you what there's certain commentators that are very good at breaking down songs and musicians that are obviously of the dark, but still have goodly, godly messages coming through in the music, and maybe the other way around. And this is
like A Course in Miracles again. You know,
yeah, that's what I mean. It's this weaving in that it makes it complicated, and I think that's what this whole process is about. And the Equinox is all part of this. It's about us just letting go of everything so that everything can come back to you in the way it's supposed to.
Well, I mean, what you can do to so let's say you love the song by the Beatles, is you transform it, the energy of anything bad, in through yourself. It's a sublimation, so that when you sing it, you're singing it because you want to sing it, because you love to sing it, and you take the dark energy out of it. This is the thing. This goes back to what I said earlier, Mark, about us thinking of ourselves as small. You know, you could wither away and die. They're spraying shit in the sky. They're putting stuff in the food. Where, you know, everywhere. I was in Tesco's this morning, and every single product I'm going, I actually heard myself say, is everything put here deliberately, and is it all poisonous? You know, and I'm going, probably. But when we step into our sovereign self, when we can say, okay, I'm just going to blast this with positive energy, and I'm going to raise the frequency of this to match my body, and I'm not going to put up with this anymore.
Although I would say,
that's what you send up.
Don't give money to I would say don't give money to Tesco.
Yeah, especially what they're doing with the club card. I've been watching Hugo Talks. I know you don't like him, but he has a really
I never said I don't like him. I never said I don't like him ever.
Okay.
You get that from?
Somebody told me that they didn't like him. I thought it was you. No, okay.
No, I think he does really good work.
He has a really good couple of videos there on club card.
They were done for me when they did the Christmas advert, and Father Christmas was there.
Father Christmas needs his passport to go.
The vaccine passport.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You know, give them no more money.
But that's the thing, innit? Like I was saying, it really is about your intention. It really is just about your intention with anything. Because, like, for example, you know, there's a lot of fear-based things, and a lot of some people do stuff around me that I wouldn't do. Yeah, you know, they might use a product I wouldn't use, or blah blah. And obviously, you can keep telling them. You can tell them 100 times. But sometimes I find if their intention is that that product is helping them, and they think that in their little world, then as long as I know that my intention for myself, like Abby says, you can transmutate the song or the person who wrote the song. I listen to music where the people might, you know, sometimes it might come on, I might sing along to it, even though I might know or suspect they might not be the best person, because it's all about what that song means to me, what memory it makes me think of, where it takes me in my mind, and how I express that, rather than I don't sing the song thinking about the person that might be connected to the satanic industry. It's more just about the way the music makes me feel. So I think it's just about reclaiming the intention towards your food, your music, your media, because I am probably one of the only spiritual people that every now and then I will still watch television, like a normal program of television, because I find it nice to turn off the noise, like the channel and everything. You know, I'm working with ETs and higher dimensionals and angels, and sometimes I think it's a nice thing to just have a break from it all. And like
you taught me that in the desert, to turn it down like a little bit. And then I found Star Trek Picard 3, series 3. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm on series 2 now. I'm watching it because of you, but there's stuff in there that's good, and there are people that are published in Hay House that are good people.
Yeah,
you know, just because I'm just looking at some of the comments here, there are good people. I went to see Bruce Lipton when he was in Dublin. He's amazing, you know. So the messages are getting out as they can, as people can send them out.
Oh, that's where the comments are. I wonder if
you find the comments.
Maybe I was meant to.
I'm reading all of them whilst listening to you. I'm multitasking.
Yeah, but I saw one earlier about MasterCard. I mean, we are the masters. We must become the masters of our own life. Now, we can't master things outside of us, but we can do our inner work and start to be the masters of how we respond to things, the master of what we're choosing, the master of our thoughts, which is what I was saying earlier about, you know, slow it down, take control of your thoughts instead of being run roughshod by them, and to start being the master of, you know, I think we just make so many choices that we're not aware of. It's time to up the game and be more aware of them and choose deliberately.
Karen, open heart. Imagine wasn't by the Beatles; it was by John Lennon, just to be specific. And that was after he left the Beatles. We're coming up to an hour now, and I'm going to go. But any last words on the Equinox from you two?
Yeah, I picked a card. I shared the other one about the past life, but I'll pick this one that I wanted to share with you guys, which is an affirmation for everybody. I voice myself properly, and I know how to articulate my emotions and any messages. Today I'm using my throat chakra, and I think it's important to put yourself first, to communicate and just express yourself in the most healthiest and open way that you can, because there's so much coming up right now. Journal it, go out into the field, release it, put music on, dance, move your body. Energy is emotion in energy in motion, so move your body to release that energy in motion, that emotion that's trapped, and don't keep it held in. Just make sure that you're tapping into that and letting yourself flow and just letting yourself be. Don't put any pressure on yourself to do anything, then just be.
Lovely.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, equinox is the balance point between light and dark, and it feels like we're standing in the balance point. We get to have a choice. I mean, somebody here in the comments says, if you think no one is watching, they're watching you, but God is always watching you, and you are always watching you. So do the best by you. And that's the most important thing, that you can put your hand up at the end of your life and say, I did my best, and I mean it, that I really did do my best. And that's all we can do. It really is all we can do. So,
well, all I can say is that we've been in a cosmic egg, and you can't make an omelette without breaking some eggs.
I had an omelette.
See you later. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
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 Thanks, guys. Bye.